Okay, and so now I have 30 minutes to take you all the way into the heart of God and how to get there and maybe how to come back. And so really, this is an orientation in the beginning of a conversation. And in our last few moments, we're actually going to do a very brief moment of centering prayer and let you have a taste of it. So it's a lot to do, but I think we should seize the time and do what we can. And to get us started, I wanted to share with you something that's become actually part of my prayer life over the last few months, since a friend of mine heard Bishop Barbara Harris, who had come back from South Africa, offering a chant that seems to be wondrously simple, so simple that even I can sing it, that is so handy for when I'm walking or when I'm starting to pray and I need something to sort of focus me down. And so I'm going to sing the first stanza with a little help from Bill Rich, just in case I collapse entirely. And then we're going to sing it as best you can a second time, and then we'll sing it, I hope, with some confidence. It's not a robust thing, this is a reflective thing. Okay? Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Everybody help. Be still and know that I am God. 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 These chants are meant, as you know, to be sung again and again, and they can be hugely, I found that one very rich in helping me to settle down for prayer time, but also on my way, walking to and from work with things on my mind. It's a great thing to kick into, so I commend it to you, and there are obviously lots more like that. We began last week, and I won't summarize last week, but we talked a lot about the mystery of the silence of God, the gift of the silence of God. And we talked a good bit about the notion of a divine center, that amidst all the busyness and goings on of our life, we all carry within us a holy self, a holy place, what Thomas Merton called our true self. And a lot of the journey of prayer is being able to experience ourselves living from that true self place, that divine center. I read a long passage I won't read again from Thomas Kelly, A Testament of Devotion, but it culminates in saying this. He talks about our too many selves, the complexity of our lives, and we're trying to be several selves at once. And then he says, life is meant to be lived from a center, a divine center. Each one of us can live such a life of amazing power and peace and serenity, of integration and confidence and simplified multiplicity on one condition, that is, if we really want to. There's a divine abyss within us all, a holy infinite center, a heart, a light who speaks in us and through us. We have all heard this holy whisper at times. At times we followed the whisper, an amazing equilibrium of life has come, but then it will elude us along the way. The journey of prayer, I'm convinced, is not about our informing God as we talk to God. I, by the way, very much believe in talking to God and interacting with God. We will talk about that in the coming weeks. But foundationally, God doesn't need an update. God knows us. He knows us better than we know ourselves. And so that part of the reason for the conversation is that we need to be talking to God about those things. But fundamentally, prayer is about our seeking a place of utter centeredness and peace, where we are confident that we are being held and loved by a power, a source, and an enveloping one far greater than we can imagine. The challenge is, of course, that we live lives not rooted in what Thomas Merton, the great mystic, called our true self. You know, he said our true self is who we are made to be in God. It is God indwelling. You and I didn't have to come to church to get in touch with God. God is living inside us always. Always the problem is, are we willing to be available to the presence of God inside us? Because God will not claim that. God will not snatch it most of the time. But what God invites us to do is to open, to let go of everything we're grappling and going after all the time, and to become available for this centered place of holiness and peace and love to be our foundation. I think it's Henry Nouwen says, the primary journey for so many of us, and we have to make it again and again, is from living in the temple of fear to moving into the temple of love. And that's a journey of unlearning all the things that we continually unlearning, all the claims that come at us from our life around us. Our false self, I always thought it's maybe better to say our finite selves, our little selves, are all the things, our talents, our gifts, our experiences, our loves, the things we do wrong, the things we do right, our angers, our possessions, all of that are pieces, fragments of who we are. And they're genuinely connected to who we are. What makes them false is when we start thinking they're the real thing. That what's most important about me, or what is central about me, is what I own, or what I look like, or what I feel like, or how I'm doing today. What's crucial is that we embrace that full life we've been given, but we do it from a center where we're grounded in a holy, life-giving, peace-giving love. I came up with an image reading parts of a fascinating book, actually looking at using contemplative practice in addressing psychotherapy and then in the spiritual direction. If you'll think about your life as a bicycle wheel, I hope there's more to it than that, but as a bicycle wheel, and on the rim are all the things of our lives and all the doings of our lives and all the emotions and all the ambitions of our life and all the sorrows of our life. They're legitimate, they're real, they're part of us. And they're all around that rim. But there's a hub at the center, a still center that is the real you and me. And the spiritual journey is simply this, to make the journey from the rim to the hub. To make the journey from the many good but finite, therefore false selves that we're invested in. All of them important, not all of them, many of them important parts of our lives, but they aren't us. They don't define us. My passions are real, but they're not the true me. My angers are real, but they're not me. The things I own, the things I care most about, the politics I live are important, but they're not me. It's that fundamental distinction that goes back in every tradition of learning, every great religious tradition, tries to get people to venture into a contemplative practice of some kind that allows them to be still and quiet and recognize the foundational discovery that if you're in that place where you're being held, that you can see these things that seem raging around in importance and know they're there, they're even important, but they're not me. I'm held and claimed in a safe place. And the contemplative journey is a journey going back time and again. There are a lot of different paths, and I'll say something about that, to to go to that place. Building your, building a foundation of that's who you really are grounded in. And what happens when people grow in holiness, they're not that they're necessarily doing more and more spiritual things or obvious things, they're growing freer from all the little selves. Doesn't mean he doesn't care, but they aren't glomming onto them. They're not desperately clinging. They're able to be in the world with a lightness, so they know who they are, whose they are, with a grounded, centered confidence that allows them then to venture out and live. The other image that this man Dan Siegel uses is the image of imagine yourself as an ocean, where on the top of the waves things can be churning and going wild, but you go down a few hundred feet and it's as still as it can be. And he says, imagine being down that 200 feet, looking up at all the crisis, the storms, the railing up there, but you're looking at it from a peaceful, quiet place. You can begin to relate to what's going on in your life. Relate to what God seems to be doing in your life with fresh, open eyes and availability to see new things and think new things and to make new connections and begin to imagine where God wants to lead you and take you. So that is the big journey, it seems to me. This week and next week, we are looking at the two classic paths of prayer that can take us deeper into the heart of the mystery of God and deeper into the heart of that holy place that we carry inside us all. One today is talking about centering prayer, which comes out the two big wings of practices of prayer. One is the apophatic journey. This won't be on your quiz. But it's all the saints who said you've got to empty, to empty, to empty. Contemplative prayer is about letting go. It's about a deep simplicity of spirit. It's about detachment as the heart of the spiritual journey. And it's about hours spent in deep solitude so often, trying to move beyond image, move beyond picturing, into a simple openness for God. And so today for a few minutes we'll talk about that. The other great tradition is called a cataphatic tradition, which believes that the most natural way for so many is to grow in God's love through the things of the world, through reflection, through emotion, through feeling, through experience, through nature, and especially through Scripture. Centering prayer invites us into a deep silence that is it's a difficult journey for a lot of people, and I would include me in that. The other journey is a journey of praying and reaching toward God through being aware of our emotions, being aware of our experiences, being aware of things that are happening in our life, and praying with those, and especially praying with the Scriptures. Scriptures as stories that invite us to step into those stories and imagine what Jesus is saying to us, what the prophets are saying. So one is filled with images and feelings and imagination. One calls us to a real simplicity of spirit as we go forward. And next week I'll be saying some things about praying with the Scriptures as we go. So moving quickly along, maybe an efficient thing to do would get you to pick up this blue sheet. And this is some material from Thomas Keating's book, Open Mind, Open Heart, which I think is a great, great book. And this will let me give you this whole little picture, and then I will talk about it. Does everybody have this? Centering prayer as a discipline is designed to withdraw our attention from the ordinary flow of our thoughts. We tend to identify ourselves with that flow. That's what I've been talking about. We tend to identify with all the things going on inside us. If that's me, that anger is me, and I'm living in that anger. I'm not going to turn it loose. That's the attachment that this kind of prayer is going to pull us back from. There's a deeper part of ourselves. This prayer opens our awareness to the spiritual level of our living, where we are able to observe what's going on in us, but not be owned by it. And then he gives his image, he uses it as teaching of contemplative prayer. This level might be compared to a great river on which our memories, our images, feelings, inner experiences, and the awareness of outer things are resting. Many people are so identified with the ordinary flow of their thoughts and feelings that they are not aware of the source from which these mental objects are emerging. Like boats or debris floating along the surface of the river, our thoughts and feelings must be resting on something. They're resting on an inner stream of consciousness, which is our participation in God's being. That level is not immediately evident to ordinary consciousness, so we're not in immediate contact with that level. We have to do something to develop it. We need to refresh ourselves at this level every day. So what he's suggesting is, if you sit down in a chair and just sit there and try to be quiet, chances are you will find in your mind something like the traffic in Times Square going on, and horns blowing and things blaring and crashes happening and lights flashing. And here his image is a lot of stuff coming down the stream of our awareness. And what he's saying is, this heart of this true self, this awareness, isn't something I can go have and experience, because it is at the heart of who I am. But what I need to do is be able to step back from and detach from all those things swirling through my mind. Now, I'm teaching you about something that I'm terrible at. But I'll tell you why I think it's worth it anyway. I mean it. I am no mystic. I'm not even close. I think and analyze. But the practice of trying to be still enough and quiet enough to be aware of what's floating down the stream past me. You don't have to use that image, but I think it's a good one. What are these things coming down the stream that are catching my attention, that are hooking me, making me want to get on that boat and deal with that right now? Or scare me, makes me want to make a list, or scare me because something's going to happen. But what if I let all those things come and go? Not push them away, but allow them to come downstream and be aware of them and just decide not to go there, to let it go. This is a practice of letting go so that I can have the freedom to be aware of my deepest self in God, that will then strengthen me and clarify me when I come out of that contemplative place, and then maybe have to deal with a lot of those things. So it's not hiding, it's saying, no, I'm more than this, and there's something deeper than this. And I'm going to give God and myself the time to be still and let these things come by and let them go for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. And what will happen is, in 15 or 20 minutes, half an hour, you will, if you're like me, you'll have 30 or 40, 50 boats in the first 5 minutes. And you begin to get the hang of enough of letting it come and letting it go. One of the important things to learn about prayer, of all kinds I'd say, is you cannot measure the value of your prayer by how you feel when you're doing it, or how you feel when you get up. What I want to do, being a focused guy as I am, I want to get up and think, whew, that was good. I went straight into the heart of God, and now I'm ready for the day. So here we go. Instead of getting up most times with, well, that was that. And and then with the that was that thing, I actually do often have, not having had an experience of God, that's an elusive and mysterious thing we can talk about sometime. But I get up aware that even though I was getting stuck with all this stuff, that there was something in me deeper than all this other stuff that was watching it. And that's a huge breakthrough. Just to be aware that that is not me. The true me is already in union with God, and God is holding me. And so if nothing else, it's a slow sort of beginning to, even in unconscious ways, to detach a little bit and be able to get a little free from all the stuff pulling at me, so that I can simply be there in my deepest self with God. I have a friend who teaches contemplative prayer, and he likes to talk about, we all have our false selves, and at the heart of our selves, false selves, is what he says. Everybody has their own self-glorification project. So he says, Sam, I know you've got the Sam G. Lloyd self-glorification project, and you're the chief of staff running that operation all the time. And we all have that. Our own ways of needfully clinging to these things and using it and propping up our own sense of self. And part of what this journey is about is developing a confidence that there is a deep need underneath all that. We've talked a lot about Tom Shaw's bravery and Tom Shaw's kind of crazy way of going and doing utterly unusual, sometimes very provocative things. It came out of his prayer. He was a man without fear. He prayed and then he walked out of his cell and went and did it. So that comes from his lifelong journey of being so grounded for an hour and a half of prayer a day. He was so clear that he was being held by God that he was ready to engage the rest of what was going on. The time is so limited now that I think what we ought to do is try our hand at this. What I would want to suggest, I'm going to suggest the ways that I would encourage you to comport your bodies, but I'm only suggesting this. Do what you want to do today, but at least listen to it. In other words, I'm not going to be looking around to see if everybody wants to do this, but I sit, many of you have done this sort of thing, sit fairly upright with your spine straight and feet flat on the ground. Again, you don't need to do this now if you don't feel like it. Feet on the ground. Hands somehow comfortably resting in your lap. Doesn't really matter there. And in a minute, I'm going to suggest some steps of relaxing, and even suggest for a moment that you imagine the river and what's on it. And I'll leave you in that for about 2 minutes or so, and then call you back and we'll talk about it for a minute. Part of the contemplative prayer, centering prayer practice, is to use a prayer word. Some word that you go back to when you're getting distracted as a way of kind of recentering yourself. And just for today, I want to suggest that we use the prayer word Yahweh. Did you know that one significant theory about the origins of the word Yahweh is that people were trying to imitate the sense of the Spirit flowing in and out of them. So it'd be Yahweh, or Yahweh. So it's one simple way. And so I'll be inviting you to take some deep breaths and then pray with some prayer word: Abba, Father, Mother, Friend, Spirit, peace, and do that for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, if you'll close your eyes and be still. And the first thing to do is to try to relax your shoulders. You might tense them and relax them. Your feet might loosen them for a minute. And take several deep breaths in and out. Just let your breath flow in and out gently. Now take up that prayer word, whatever one seems right for you, and you might say it: Abba, Father, or for God is love. Now if you imagine that great river flowing down and observe what kinds of boats are on your river. And once you've observed them, simply let them go. Take just a moment to begin to come back, just a couple of moments to regather. Okay. Did anybody make it into the mind of God? A couple of reactions. Anybody want to say something about what experience? Would you stand up? Yes.
We both were having a race to see which one could get to the starting line first. And then they were jockeying for position.
Yeah. Traffic's a little intense, so yeah. Pretty trafficky. Other responses? Yes.
Sam, how is this different than transcendental meditation? It seems similar in many ways.
It's very close. It's very close to Buddhist meditation, all of those. It's the same core practice, which is going down to the center. The difference is how we Christians would describe what's going on. Transcendental meditation doesn't talk about our encountering the divine love or our center in God. It's talking about a deeper self. What we Christians do is we share a lot with the secular world, but we say there's some deeper things going on too. So we would say that journey into stillness is also a journey into a profound openness to the mystery of God, and a place where God can meet us in fresh ways that we can talk about. Yes. Would you stand up there?
I had this feeling for quite some time that my heart was open hands, and I was trying to keep them open.
Your heart was open hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I liked very much.
The classic pattern for this is 20 minutes twice a day. I've never mastered the second one in the day, I have to say. 20 to 30 minutes, but the wisdom is, and Thomas Keating and Cynthia Bourgeois write about this, is it takes a while for the, if you're in water that's got stuff flickering around it, or one of those snow things that you shaked up, and it takes a while for it to settle in. Like 4 or 5 minutes to begin to settle down. 45 minutes of pretty busy stuff going on. So it's, and then it never becomes, rarely becomes something that is wondrously quiet all along. It is a place where something can strike you that seems to come from beyond you. So there's certainly moments when God communicates. But what this really is trying to do is get us to a place where we can be aware of God's presence and activity in all those pieces of our life, because we know so clearly who we are. The contemplative journey is trying to teach us to see, and trying to get us to see that we are in God, and God is in us, and God's life is moving through us. St. Paul said, "Now it is not I who live, but Christ who lives in me." That's that same contemplative confidence that something is going on. Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches." This is all, the fancy word is a co-inherence, that we and God are co-inhering. God is in our life and we're in God's. And the purpose of this is allow us to begin to see that, so then we can see it more objectively when we're living our busy lives and doing our busy things. The thing you so skillfully folded at the beginning of your journey is packed with a very finely laid out set of details. Details and lots of steps are not necessarily inviting and winning as they describe it, but it's a very handy thing just for you to understand what they're getting at. Reading one of these books can be one of the ones to help you sort of deeply embedded with it. And as I say, I very much want to have, in probably the Lenten period, a contemplative prayer group, so that we can do this prayer and talk about it with each other and help people think about what they need to do as part of it. I think I'm getting the builder's nod, so I better go. Thank you all very much.